Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Is episode 94 of the Say Hey podcast, part of the Believe Podcast Network. I am Doug Hayes. It is January 24th, 2023. Rob, we've been on like a month hiatus. It's the first show of the year. Happy New Year, my friend, even though I've talked to you many times in between.
Happy New Year, baby. Happy New Year. Glad to be back. I want to start off by saying the last couple episodes that you and I have done, we kind of end up with egg on our face a little bit because that like something big would happen the very next day that totally contradicted what we just talked about the day before. So I want everybody to know, Doug and I haven't been lazy. We just kind of got in that mode where
we're avoiding people
or avoiding people. Yeah, we've just been in that mode where, okay, since we keep screwing up shit on our episodes because the very next day something crazy happens, we're going to let the offseason play out a little bit, maybe. And it's still not over yet. I mean, the Giants still, believe it or not, have a few roster holes to fill. But for the most part, we think they've pretty much settled into what they're gonna have going into spring training here in a few weeks. But yeah, I think we're ready to go now. We're back. Sorry if you missed us. We missed you.
Yeah, lots happened, man. I mean, obviously, and we don't need to freaking ever mention his name again, but somehow, some way, Carlos Correa ends up back with the Minnesota Twins after all the shenanigans.
After all that.
So, you know what? Whatever. And we'll touch base on like the ramifications of that tonight and stuff. But dude, yeah, like a lot's happened. Like since we recorded last, like even in our personal lives, like I went down to Arizona. I saw my Michigan Wolverines for the first time in my life in person. I've been a fan for almost 2 decades. And what do? They lay a huge egg against TCU, who laid a bigger egg the next week against Georgia.
The biggest egg I think you could possibly lay.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy. And then obviously
they jumped the 2004 Oklahoma Sooners.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that was a bad one, too, against USC. 55-19.
Finally, there's a worse one.
But, yeah, lots happened, man. I, like my Niners played Rob's Cowboys over the weekend, and that's over. Like, Rob's wearing a Giants hat. I'm wearing a Niners hat, so you know how that went.
My season's over.
But, yeah, hey, best time of the year, dude. Playoffs and football. I mean, it's awesome. But, yeah, the Giants, we're gonna finally – the good thing is we've kind of given it enough time. We can actually like, there's not really any significant names left. And I mean, that's across the board. So it's, I feel like we're both comfortable, kind of just evaluating and grading. And at the end of this episode, we'll grade the off season, our opinions. So like we said, it's been a month. If you're just joining us, you can find all of our stuff at believe.com. That's BLEAV.com. Or wherever you get your podcasts. So we are excited to be back, though, because I think we were hammering out like episodes every like 4 or 5 days, it felt like. And then obviously with all the Correa stuff. And so, yeah, it's been a busy off season. So we need that little break.
A lot of time and emotion went into Carlos Correa. And I think after that was over, we needed to step away for a little bit.
So let's talk about the guys that are here, that are San Francisco Giants. Obviously there were moves that were made. The Giants bring in Mitch Haniger. That was kind of the first significant one in early December. They go get Michael Conforto. They bring in Tyler's twin brother, Taylor Rogers, to help the back end of the bullpen woes that were of 2022. So, and they brought back Jock Peterson on the 1-year qualifying offer. So there were some, decent additions to this team. But also, you talk about, let's kind of start in the rotation. You cool with that? You want to start with the starting rotation?
Let's do that.
So obviously Carlos Rodon leaves. Logan Webb will be back, obviously heading this rotation, but now you bring back guys like Anthony DeSclafani's going to be in this rotation. Alex Wood will be sometime. Who knows? There's been more additions. He may be coming out of the pen at some points in this season as well. But the additions they make, Sean Manaea, Ross Stripling, they both get the same deal. I believe it was both 2 for $25 million with an opt out after 2023.
Yes.
My initial thoughts were, I actually really like the addition of Stripling. He's coming off a strong year with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, on the other hand, left-hander Sean Manaea not coming off a strong year with the San Diego Padres. I'm cool with the Stripling signing. I think he's a great addition. Manaea, I'm kind of mixed bag on. What were your thoughts on those?
They're just, they fit right in. They're collectively what Sean Manaea, career 58 and 50 pitcher with a 4.06 ERA, and then you go down to Ross Stripling. That's 38 and 38 with a 3.78 ERA. They're basically the same guy. They both been in the league. They've both been in the league 7 years. But I gotta agree with you. You're more excited about Stripling because Stripling's coming off his best year ever. So. Yeah. And he got a little more run as the season went along last year. The Blue Jays started to trust him more. And shout out to our boy Chris Corbett. Out in Canada, he said he's like, yeah, Toronto's going to miss him. And then when you hop on Blue Jays Twitter, like, they lost Stripling. That sucks. It's a good get for the Giants. So hopefully he can build off last season, and hopefully we get a bit of a bounce back from Sean Manaea. I've tried to do like mental gymnastics in my head to try to compare him to like Carlos Rodon when they signed Rodon, because big lefty, throws hard. Not the injury history that Rodon had, but probably coming off his worst year as a starter. But
yeah.
But other than that, like I prefaced, he's been in the league 7 years, and he's been slightly above average, 58 and 50 ERA in the low fours, and that's coming off a bad year. So hopefully he kind of does what he's done his whole career and just balances it out with a really good year this year coming up. But unfortunately, with we don't have to get crazy about the contracts because they're all very similar. But
yeah.
if he does have a good bounce back year, he's probably out of town. So
we're used to that.
But yeah, we're getting so used to that. It kind of sucks, but oh well.
But yeah, I mean, like, obviously we hope that Manaea has a bounce back season. I had his page up here, but now I got to find it again. Sorry. But he's had some okay seasons, especially with the Oakland A's. His last pretty darn good season, actually 2021, so 2 years ago, he was okay. I mean, he had a 3.91 ERA, 9.74 Ks per 9, which was a career high for him. Like, if you were to put those numbers up this year, I think we'd be pretty happy with that. That's a solid 3-4 guy in the rotation numbers, and he's a lefty. The Giants, outside of Alex Wood, who may or may not be in the rotation a bunch this year, could use another lefty. Obviously, Carlos Rodon departed. And speaking of other lefties, Kyle Harrison's going to be knocking on the door in Sacramento. He could be up at he will be up at some point in the season. The big question is just if it's going to be sooner or later. Is it going to be, May, June, or is it going to be like July, August? And then obviously they reached an agreement with Jacob Junis to come back. I believe they reached it was arbitration eligible still. So he'll be back. And then, big wild card. Who knows about Sean Jelly, but he's available there too for added depth to this rotation. So overall, yeah, you bring in Stripling and Manaea. Harrison's close. You technically get back Anthony DeSclafani, who was really non-existent last year, was banged up. Hopefully he's fully healthy, ready to go. So how are you feeling about the rotation heading into this year as a whole?
Not great, Bob. Not great.
Not great.
Not bad, but not great. I feel like losing Rodon. People. I've seen a lot of people try to write off Rodon as, he's really only the one guy that they lost. Man, he was their best player last year. I mean, he was nails every time he went out there, an all-star. Didn't miss like 2 starts the entire year. I mean, he was as reliable as
he had like 31 starts.
As could be. So, but I feel like people are kind of overlooking the fact that they had a pretty dynamic 1-2 punch at the top of that rotation for most of the year, and now we've talked about it a little bit. Logan Webb's velocity has gone down a bit, at the end of last year. So I'm really curious to see how he comes back this year. Still confident, he's a ground ball guy. So I think he can keep that going, but you're asking a lot of Logan Webb now to be that, hey man, we need a win today. We've lost 3 in a row. Your turn. Let's go. Because if he can't do that, and like I said, it's just you got Webb and basically 4 or 5. Well, let's hope. Let's hope that a couple of those question marks can become reliable arms. And I think we're confident about Stripling, but the main thing about Stripling is he's never really gone past 5-6 innings in his entire career. Like like I mentioned earlier, he had just started to get into the 6th inning later in the year with Toronto when the games got bigger. So I just think you're asking a lot of Webb right now with the current state of the rotation, because you really don't know what you're going to get with the rest of the guys. That's the facts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I'm kind of with you. I don't think it's a great rotation, but I don't by any means think it's a bad rotation. I think it's middle of the pack, maybe a little above average, middle of the pack. So somewhere in the 12 to 15 range worth of rotations across the Major League Baseball. So yeah, I mean, big question mark. And actually, I want to talk to you off air about it, but I do want to dedicate maybe a whole episode to Logan Webb, because it's the off season. So I feel like we can do that. So we'll go into a further discussion regarding Webb, but yeah, the Ks were down this last year. Velocity dropped a bit. And besides that, like you were just pointing out, there's not many guys in this rotation that can prove that they can go 6-7 innings.
Give the bullpen a break.
Yeah. Webb's done it a few times, but who knows? And, teaser could be affecting the possible no extension from the Giants. So we'll see. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, kind of mixed emotions on the rotation.
And also I gotta throw it out. There's going to be, when he does arrive, there's going to be a lot of pressure and expectations on Kyle Harrison.
Oh yeah.
And
he's the number 1 rated lefty starter in the minors right now.
Yep. And
across the board.
Getting a lot of hype, struck a lot of dudes out last year, even after he got promoted to AA. Very excited for him, but it's going to be a lot of pressure on him from everybody early on, because they really do need him when it's time for him to get here.
Yeah, and it just last point on the rotation, we didn't even mention Alex Cobb, who had a pretty good year for what his expectations were. He's another year older. He's going to be 35, 36 this year. Coming off a fairly healthy year for a guy that's, dealt with some injuries. So, we're Cobb guys, but we're also realistic. Like, this could be a step back year for Alex Cobb. Another sinker ball guy who was reaching 95, 96 pretty consistently last year. So who knows too what we'll get from Alex Cobb, but kind of sticking on the bump. We'll move to the bullpen if you're cool with that. I straight out of the gate, this is an improved group, right? I mean, it's not way better, but it's better.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah. You had a guy like Taylor Rogers, you're automatically better. Not very many, reliable, effective lefty relievers in baseball. So that's big for sure. And it gives you a little wiggle room because the Giants, as we know, they play in a lot of close games. Like they play every game like it's chess. It's very inning to inning. And that's where you get a lot of 1-run, 2-run games. And they're going to need another closer type arm back there. And Rogers has been a closer a lot of his career. It provides Camilo Duvall with a little insurance back there, because last year, if it wasn't Duvall's turn, it was, what the fuck are we going to do tonight? Because Dominic Leone ended up off the team. Jake McGee ended up off the team. You know, all these guys had Tyler Rogers had a massive step back last year. A lot of bad luck. You know, the Giants defense was pure shit, and Tyler Rogers is always going to have balls get put in play. That's just the way it is. So just a massive step back for everybody last year. Everybody involved. Like I said, it had people getting jettisoned off the roster entirely. But and then the big wild card is Luke Jackson coming off surgery. Had a great 2021 in Atlanta. Has closed some games in his career, and it was not a very good closer. If we're being honest here, back in 2019. But yeah, I think a lot of upside with him. Hopefully his velocity can return, and hopefully he can turn into another John Brebbia type, because they really going opener the way they did last year. They really kind of wasted a pretty solid year from John Brebbia. I really feel like.
And you and I were anticipating a good bounce back year from Brebbia. You know, fully recovered from Tommy John.
Yep.
And he was good all around. He had a good year, whether it was opening games or as a reliever, which he is. But kind of getting back to Taylor Rogers real quick. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are, you know, whatever. They're going to do the whole twin thing this year and blah, blah, blah. Like, let's talk baseball. Like, he didn't have his best year last year. He was traded from San Diego to Milwaukee in the Josh Hader trade, which was, at the time, we were kind of like, well, this is weird. It was a weird trade. You know, weird. 4-8 in 66 appearances, a 4.76 ERA. But the thing I look at, he had a 3.31 FIP, so maybe played with some bad defense, but also in kind of a down year, he still had 11.75 Ks per nine, which is not what you get from brother Tyler. You know, no. Taylor he's going to throw much harder. He throws mid-90s consistently. He is a strikeout guy, which the Giants need, and that's what this bullpen needs, especially in the back end, like you said, to complement Camilo Doval, especially from the other side. They haven't had a, you know, dominant, could, you know, blow it by you and strike you out lefty since 2021 Jake McGee. And so it's been and he wasn't even a big K guy.
Yeah, and well, we still don't know how he did that.
Yeah, it's still an anomaly to me. But anyways, I think, you know, if you dive a little deeper into Rogers' numbers, you know, he averaged 2.66 walks per nine last year. So obviously command was an issue. So hopefully he comes to San Francisco. He's still 31. He's not, you know, he's in his prime right now. Fix the command stuff. Taylor Rogers could be back to having, you know, really, really good numbers. So I'm not too worried about him. I'm excited to see him pitch this year for the Giants. But yeah, you mentioned bringing back, you know, John Brebbia is back, of course. And he should be, you know, primarily probably used like in the 7th inning of games, maybe some 8th innings as a setup guy. Like John Brebbia is a good reliever. And then obviously, Scott Alexander was brought back. He had a really strong finish to the season for the Giants. That's another lefty. So the Giants, I think, you know, I was all in on them in 2021. I nailed that. Then I doubled down. I was completely wrong. They were not so great in 2022, and we're, you know, a couple months away from our season preview, but I am optimistic again about the bullpen. I think they address some needs for sure, and they're better. Not elite, but they're better. Because, I mean, Camilo Doval's 25, going to be 26 this year, and he much improved this last year. I think he got more comfortable going through some stretches of some really dominant stuff and learning how to pitch. You don't have to throw 102 every time. Maybe dial it back to 98, 99 with better command, and then, you know, get in that slider and then bring in that two seam. So I am more optimistic about the Giants bullpen this year for sure.
It's hard for them not to take a step up from last year. It was
true.
Even going into last year, like it was going to be hard for them to not take a step back last year. It's going to be really hard for them to not to take a step back up this year. Because I mean, talk about going from here and going right back down in a 2-year stretch. So yeah, hopefully, Brebbia and higher leverage the situation. That's where he belongs, and hopefully. Taylor Rogers can stay healthy and give Doval a little insurance, and pray that Luke Jackson is ready to go around opening day, which is what they project. And because he had a good 2021 on a very good Braves team that won the whole thing. So yeah, excited about the bullpen again, finally.
All right, let's talk some bats. I'm mixed right out of the gate. I'm mixed about the lineup moving forward. Now, obviously, you bring back a Jock Peterson. Now, I think Jock Peterson is going to have like a huge year this year. And reason being is because I think he's going to play a more prominent role with the Giants where he should be, which is, DH more than playing the field. And really, even though his splits weren't god awful last year, but, mainly get more used properly, in my opinion. Shift's gone. I think a lot more hits can fall for him. He's only 30. He can definitely still, he would have been crazy to pass up the 19 plus $1 million qualifying offer. But yeah, he absolutely, if he balls out this year, he can go get a 3-year deal after this year for sure, whether it's back here with the Giants or somewhere else. But I think bringing back Jock's big. He'll be in the middle of that lineup most days, and I anticipate a big year from him. But bringing in a Mitch Haniger, I like Mitch Haniger. I liked him when he was with the Mariners. Big power when he's healthy. 2021, 253, 318 OBP and slugged 485 with 39 bombs, 100 RBIs. That was in 157 games. So, his last full season, a really strong season. Giants could use a right-handed power bat. Kind of struggled to stay healthy in 2022, only appeared in 57 games, but 11 home runs in those 57 games. I mean, you double that, he plays 114, there's 22. So, in Seattle is not a very hitter-friendly ballpark. So,
True.
Add Mitch Haniger in the middle of the lineup. His splits aren't awful, so there's another everyday potential guy. And then the other big name to the lineup, obviously, Michael Conforto from the – I forgot to bring this up earlier. That's what we're doing. Michael Conforto, obviously, with the Mets for the past several seasons. Another guy, when he's healthy, big power. Played last in 2021. I know he was coming off shoulder surgery. That's why he missed all of 2022. But where it is, he's healthy. He's ready to go. Another guy that has an opt-out after the season. So very good chance that he at minimum opts out, goes somewhere else, or the Giants are going to have to buck up some money for him to keep him. But, if we're just talking 2023, I am excited about the additions they made. I know they fell short with Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa. And we've said it before. If the Giants had Carlos Correa, if Correa with these additions, like you're looking at a pretty solid lineup.
Very good team. A very good team.
Yes. Take away Correa, these guys are still pretty solid, but overall, this is a, middle of the road lineup, and it's going to be full of, role players, platoon guys still. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with Wilmer Flores. Like Lamont Wade Jr. is their solution at first base. It's sounding like Mike Yastrzemski is going to get a lot of center field time. Sorry I'm talking so long here, but like offensively, I think they'll be better. I don't think they'll be significantly better, but I think they'll be better. But dude, the defense got no help. And this was, I mean, it's not even arguable. Like the Giants had the worst defense in baseball in 2022.
Yep.
And guess what? Mitch Haniger can hit, but he's not great defensively. Michael Conforto, not great defensively. Jock's going to be out there a lot. He needs a DH because why? He's not great defensively. We've seen Lamont Wade Jr. at first, and sayonara, Brandon Bell. We're going to miss your glove though when you're healthy over at first base because Lamont Wade Jr. is not good at first. And then you have an aging Brandon Crawford. You have, hopefully David Villar's get a third. On and on and on. Defense didn't get better.
No.
Straight up.
No, it really didn't. And that was one of the things that, Farhan, highlighted before the offseason started was that we got to get better defensively. Well, you didn't. Yeah, like these guys aren't bad additions. Like they're good players. They're good players the same way Ray Durham was a good addition back in the day. Dustin Moore was a good addition back in the day. Like they're good players, but they're not gonna reinvent the wheel in that Giants lineup. They're just not. I'm excited about Conforto. Obviously, shoulder surgery, missed all last year. Was all-star in 2017. Had a couple years there. I think it was 2018 and 19 where he hit almost 30 bombs. I think he was in the high 20s, I believe, both those years. Kind of dipped back. I know in 2021. I know he only had 14 home runs that year, but kind of eager to see how he comes back after surgery and missing all of last year. Haniger, yeah, like you said, a big time 2021, 39 homers, 100 ribbies in a big ballpark, just like he's gonna be playing in at Oracle. Once again, another guy who got hurt last year. Finished the year pretty strong, if I recall. He was, people forget the Mariners got in the playoffs last year and got to, he was playing in big games, and they got better once he got back. So
sure,
there's reasons to be optimistic about these guys and them come back and being contributors. The question is how big of contributors are they expected to be in that clubhouse? Because to me, on the surface, and then you mentioned Jock Peterson too, who had a career year last year. Is it really fair to expect him to be an all-star again this coming year? I mean, he barreled up. He just barreled everything against the righties. I don't think he made a bad swing all year against righties. but I thought I don't want to go. I don't want to get too off topic about last year. But I think the most fitting thing about where the Giants fell short last year was Jock Peterson was an all-star. Coming out of the all-star break, they faced 4 lefties in a row. Jock Peterson didn't play for like 5 days. And it was like, damn. And I think it was against the Dodgers. And it was like, damn, the Giants are getting their ass whipped. They could really use their all-star hitter right now. Oh, wait, he can't play today because they're facing a lefty. So it was like kind of a microcosm of the season last year. But you really wonder how these guys are expected to perform in the midst of the clubhouse. Because to me, these guys would fit. They'd be 6 hitters on a very good team, in a decent line. They pretty much the entire Giants lineup, they'd all be hitting 6th in a good lineup. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the lineup shapes out and how Farhan tries to maneuver his way through a pretty bad defensive lineup once again.
Yeah, like we mentioned a couple of times, the defense did not get any better. But yeah, I am curious to see how much platooning we see again, because I will say this, they're a little deeper than they were last year. We didn't even mention like JD Davis and Austin Slater's still there. He'll be in probably every time they face a lefty, but who knows? There could be some guys here that are trade candidates as well. But another big question like I have is, I think they've entrusted in Joey Bart is going to be the guy behind the plate. Like, I think we can see it now. You and I are big Joey Bart guys. Mm-hmm. He's not going to hit 300, but the guy could, in a good year, maybe he's going to hit 230, 240, but go hit 20 bombs, 25 bombs somewhere in there. And I think that could very well happen this year. And I think the thing with Joey Bart is his defense doesn't get talked about much outside of, I feel like, a select, group of fans. Like Joey Bart is he's not elite, but he's very good defensively. He's solid.
He is.
Whether it comes down to rapport with the staff and getting that, I'm sure he's getting better at that. But it comes to throwing dudes out and working behind the plate, Joey Bart is very underrated in my opinion. But yeah, another question I had though is, like, what's the backup situation? Like last year they traded Kurt Casale during the year, but Kurt Casale was like not really anything special. They brought in Austin Wynns, who was an okay backup. And he cleared and he's now back in the organization, but technically like in the minors with Sacramento. Are we going to finally get to see Ricardo Genovés, who's going to be like turning 24 this year, who has had some strong seasons in the Giants farm system. Like, is he going to be an option? We know that Patrick Bailey hasn't been great. He's shown a little bit of offensive prowess. He's great defensively, but we don't know how he's going to hit. He can't get past, Eugene. So,
Right.
Who knows? I think a big question this year will be the backup catcher situation. And then also, what the hell are they going to do? Here we are again. They missed out on Carlos Correa. What's the backup shortstop situation? You have Brandon Crawford, who's coming off a pretty poor year after having a great 2021. He's 36 years old. He's in the last year of his contract. I don't want to speak for you. I'll let you talk about it, but I think that he will be a little better this year, obviously. But I mean, this guy's got to play like 100, 110 games this year and have plenty of rest, in my opinion. And so, does that mean you're putting Tyro Estrada at short? Like, what are they doing there?
I mean, Isan Diaz is an option. He's still around,
and I love Isan Diaz.
Yeah, but apparently the Giants don't, because he got no run at the big league level last year.
Yeah,
despite hitting pretty well down there in AAA. One of the few guys who did. The AAA roster didn't really impress last year offensively, but he did. So he's an option, and they haven't got rid of him, so that's good. I would certainly take him over, the Donnie Waltons of the world.
Oh, sure.
The pie throwers, but I mean, I could not watch that guy try to turn a double play ever again. But Tyro Estrada, he's a really good option. He came up as a shortstop with the Yankees, and then I think it was when they brought in Gleyber Torres was when they started to move him around on the big league roster, and he settled in at second base. But he's got experience there. But I mean, definitely an option. Because Crawford's not gonna be able to go 130, 140 games. I mean, maybe 130, but probably not much more than that. And you could probably pencil him in for 2 or 3 IL stints too, because that's what old guys do. They get hurt. I think Bart is pretty underrated defensively, even now, because I think people they focus so much on his bat last year going into the season, because he was being entrusted. He was taking over Buster Posey's role, and the Giants struggled offensively a good portion of the year. So, but yeah, it kind of under the radar a bit. Had a really, really good year managing that pitching staff. So I think that going out and getting Ross Stripling and Sean Manaea, 2 other veterans, I'm sure Joey Bart's name came up quite a few times in those conversations. So obviously, that they're feeling confident in what he can do with them. But yeah, you mentioned Austin Wynns, and he did get designated for assignment, and nobody claimed him. Nobody picked him
biters.
up. And I, going on Twitter, you had a lot of people really up in arms when they DFA'd him, going, "Oh wait, they do, he finished the year so good, and they're gonna regret this, and da da da." And well, he's still here, and not only he didn't even request his outright release; he took the assignment. So that shows you what baseball thinks of Austin Wynns outside of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And there was rumors about Gary Sanchez possibly, but if they were to bring him in, he'd be nothing more than a right-handed DH. He can't play defense. I don't trust him back there even for a day. So
he's Joey Bart, who can't play defense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's Joey Bart, who can't play defense. So, and yeah, you had mentioned Lamont Wade taking over, who's supposed to be the projected opening day first baseman. As of now, that's what we're hearing. That's the direction. That's the direction they want to go. And man,
well, who knows? We could see David VR get some run over there. And he's a young guy. I'd probably be in favor of let me just see VR over there, get him more reps. I mean, we know the guy is serviceable at hitting. I think he's a little better than we expected, and who knows? He might have a surprise year with the bat, but yeah, first base I'm concerned about first base for sure.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Moneyball when they go to Scott Hatterberg's house and they tell him they want him to be a first baseman, and Billy Bean says, "Hey, that's Scott. It's not that hard." And Ron Washington goes, "Tell him, Wash. It's incredibly hard.
It's incredibly hard."
I mean, if
Ron Washington's a defensive guru.
Yeah. So when I hear about Lamont Wade being a full-time first baseman, that's the scene I think of. It's like, dude, they really just think they could just roll anybody over there and it's gonna be fine. Like, yeah, it's like you would think at some point they would get a little insurance there in case one of these guys sucks, because I mean, between him and Wilmer Flores and David VR, I mean, there's a good possibility they all can't do it. So if that were to happen, I'd be curious to see what route they go, because they can't give runs away the way that they did last year. I mean, it was hard to watch as a fan, and once you kind of saw Belt's decline, you were like, wow, they are really fucked over there at first base defensively. And now Belt's gone forever, and they've made no real effort to try to replace his glove, like, at all.
I am curious too. He had a great year in Double-A, got moved up, and had not even worthy to discuss numbers in Triple-A sack at the end of the year. But Casey Schmidt, sure glove. I think he'll at least be in Sacramento for the majority of the year, unless he's just absolutely lighting the world on fire, which if he is, then freaking let the young guys play. So, yeah, excited about VR. I'm optimistic about him. Who knows about Casey Schmidt, but he would shore up third base. And then, obviously we'll see Kyle Harrison at some point. So
yes,
I think we're at the point, like, let's see some young guys too, because who knows? So, shall we just get to this part here? Do we want to do this now?
Let's do it now.
All right. Are you ready? Go for it.
Oh, I'm going first. Tell us.
Yeah, you can go first.
All right. I don't know if this is an actual grade. I've got some bad grades in my life, but I think I've ever seen this on paper. But I'm gonna go with a D plus.
A D plus.
A D plus, because I don't think any of their additions are bad additions. I think they're nice players, but if we were kind of, they didn't say it out loud, but they kind of alluded to the fact, Farhan and Greg Johnson, these guys, that they were going to go out and get a big fish or two. They didn't outright say that, but they were like, we will not be outbid. There was one of those. And I'm not saying the Giants.
They weren't.
I was about to say they didn't get outbid, but it when it comes to signing free agents, it's clearly more than just, okay, here's a lot of money and go nuts. You have to win. I mean, to me, it's like recruiting, high school athletes to go to a university. You have to win the room at some point. You have to be better than the other guys, and who are trying to land these players. And I just think with how last year ended, the NLCS, was it the LCS? Dodgers Padres, was that the LCS last year?
No, that was the DS.
The division, DS, yes.
Yeah, because Pods played the Phils.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that stupid song, yeah, with the Padre fans. But you had your two division rivals playing each other in the playoffs, and they, after a year where they just beat the piss out of you, and it wasn't the fact that the Giants lost those games to the Dodgers. It was how they lost them. They got their ass beat, and it was palpable. You could see how much more talent those guys had as opposed to the Giants. And for them to go into that, come out of the offseason and land really no real difference maker, to the equation in the division where you have those two teams in front of you and a storming Arizona team who's pretty damn good as well. You added no real difference makers, and in the process you lost one in Carlos Rodon, because you refused to wave the white flag at freezing at the trade deadline last year because you said
Like
we're
we were
still
screaming for.
because we're only one
Good
good
week
week
away.
away from being back in it. Yeah, bullshit. So it again, it's not a knock on the players that they brought in because they brought in some good players, but I just don't see how they're any better or closer than they were a year ago. So I'm gonna go with D plus. I think I'm in the minority there, but go ahead.
I'm gonna give them just a flat, solid, boring C.
It's like me in college.
Hey, they get those degrees, baby, but do
Yeah, that's
C's
right.
get World Series rings? No, I'm just joking. Look, rotation, obviously losing Rodon's huge, even though I think I can speak for the both of us. We weren't thrilled about giving him a big long-term contract. Like what he got with the Yankees, 6 years, no thanks. Thanks for last year, whatever, great. But those injuries are going to come back at some point. You bring in Stripling and Manaeus, whatever. Some the rotation I feel like it's not going to be as good as it was last year, but I don't think it would be significantly worse. We've already talked about that. The bullpen, got better for sure, I think. And then the bats got better. Defense did not get better. But you got to factor in like I know there's a lot of blame and non-blame on Gabe Kapler too, but like he's got to be better too in regards of like how he's using this lineup, how he's using the bullpen. So he's factored into this too. So, I think like you mentioned, we were expecting a big name. We know they were in on the big names. They freaking had a big name. That obviously fell through. So yeah, overall, it's just like it's a C to me. I don't think it was awful at all. I think they got overall a little better, but it was still a disappointing offseason because the Giants didn't get their franchise guy that could be the magnet for other guys in the future. So who knows? Just a big solid C from me. So yeah,
I think it kind of rolls back to this from a fan standpoint. Because at the end of the day, we're just fans. Aside from the fact that it's baseball and we love baseball, are you excited for this coming season?
Yeah, just because we've watched almost every game in our lives for the last 20 something years. Yeah, of course I am. Early this year, March is cool with spring training and then we get the season going. I can confidently say that, the Giants got a little better, but the Padres got better. The Dodgers didn't have to do much. They're already really good. Other teams in the National League got significantly better, especially some teams in the Central and the East. I really do think the Chicago Cubs are going to be much improved this year, and they are a borderline wild card team. Other teams in the National League got better. I don't think the Giants did enough to be in that conversation where, hey, maybe they're this, that 6th wild card going into this year or going, into September, October. So, yeah, I'm excited, but am I optimistic it's going to be a great year? No. I mean, we're 2 months away from probably our season preview, but way too early, prediction. I think this team's hovering right around 500 again, and it's not enough.
Yeah, and
so
it was it was just I think it was the build up and the anticipation and them actually coming out and saying shit like we will not be outbid. And I'm not just talking about Correa. I mean, there's other guys too, but to come out with nothing, of nothing significant, like to where boom, we got a dude right here. We got a dude right here. Look the fuck out. We're coming.
We mean business.
We mean business, and the Giants just didn't do that. And Farhan kind of stole that Norman Dale line from Hoosiers, saying, let's support the guys who are here, not the guys who aren't." That's exactly what that fool said in Hoosiers. Gene Hackman, shout out. But man, a good movie. But that team had like 7 players, and they won the state title. But I don't see the Giants repeating such a similar feat. I just don't.
I think if I were to sum up how I feel as a Giants fan right now, it would be, how much longer is this front office going to stick to the opt-out short-term deals where, because the fan base has to have some guys, like, we're not fall in love with players, guys. We're team guys, but there's got to be some guys here that like fans are like super excited about, like for the next 4 or 5 plus years. And that may be Logan Webb, but again, we'll talk about it. Where's the extension? The Giants don't show any initiative of committing to anyone long term. And we know that they're optimistic about some of the prospects we're going to get over the next couple years. Harrison's close. Schmidt's been a nice surprise. Luciano's probably a 2024 realistic option. Maybe 2025. I don't know. He's still young. But, how long are we going to go on this mouse wheel of what's this team's identity? Because I still can't answer it. I still don't know what this team's direction is.
Well, yeah, neither do I. And I think they don't really have a direction right now. I think their direction is, oh my God, let's please just stay relevant enough to where people just care about us enough for 162. I think that's where they're at right now. It's a sad reality, but it's true. But you see, the whole approach after watching what the Dodgers do and the Padres do and the Yankees do and the Red Sox do and all these other the Phillies, and the approach of basically going up to these free agents, some of these free agents, and saying, please take our money. And if you have a great year, you don't have to come back next year. That is, that's weak. It's weak. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's a weak.
I get it if it's like, a couple of times, but like, it's
everybody.
Everybody.
Like I think out of all those free agents that they just signed, the only guy guaranteed to be here in 3 years is Taylor Rogers, the bullpen arm, which is insane to me. I mean, that's like they're doing it backwards. But if that's really the only way they can get people out here, that's a really scary and sad reality, because it reminds me of back when we were little, and you had, because the Giants were good. They had Bonds, Kent, Snow, Rob Ben, all these all-stars, great players, and
Pedro Feliz.
Pedro Feliz, forgot about him. Yeah, but they had these all-stars who were there every year. Like, you knew they'd be there opening day. You could wear their jersey, and we'd always make fun of the A's fans that we knew, because they had a new goddamn team every year. Well, guess what? The Giants are getting there. The Giants they're getting there.
We need to stop seeing the 10, 12, and 14 years displayed everywhere. Trust me, you honor your World Series teams. I'm all for it. But by God, like, I know we don't have the star power now, and we're still, like, Brandon Crawford's the only guy left, so he should be the only one. Nope, you'll still see Bumgarner and Posey and Belt stuff around the ballpark. And it's like, dude, we literally are living in the past, literally. So whatever.
And just the short term 1 year deals, it worked. Yeah, like you said, you talked about the World Series teams. I mean, the only team that really did that was the 10 team, when they had like Burrow and Huff and Ross and Torres and guys like, I mean, that it all worked out. Great. Juan Uribe, all those guys, it worked out. But if these free agents are checking in knowing, okay, all I gotta do is have a halfway decent year and I'm getting the fuck out of here and getting more money, like, I don't know. Like, it's not, it can't be good for the culture. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Like, the vibe around the ballpark. I mean, how upset would you be right now? Like, if you bought a Carlos Rodon jersey last year, that probably sucks. That
probably
sucks.
Wasn't bought. We saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah, sucks.
We knew if he stayed healthy and he was good, he was not going to be back this year.
Right. But see, we knew that. Well, what if, like, you're Doug, you're a dad, and if you were taking, Doug Jr. to the game last year, 7, 8 years old, dad,
name, by the way, but
7, 8 years old, and Dad, I want a Carlos Rodon jersey. Motherfucker.
Sorry, son. He's probably going to be with the Yankees next year. I know, obviously, we didn't know that, but yeah.
No. Damn it. All right, fine. Yeah, but you'd still buy it. But still, like,
Let me get you a Luciano jersey. He's got a lot of promise.
Imagine, yeah, but see, like those are like the the people who deal with this, who invest in the team and take their kids to the game. And this year, of course, okay, we're going back to the game. Oh, Sean Manaea, look, he's big, he's Hawaiian, he's fun to look at, he throws hard. What if he has a renaissance? Like he has a great year? Yeah, hang 10. Yeah. And,
sayonara, dude.
Yeah, hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. This year I want a Sean Manaea jersey. God damn it!
Sorry, son. He's going to be pitching for the Red Sox next year.
Yes,
you know, like
and the cycle continues, and that's all. Like, you know, it's.
I get it.
It's a bad look, and I know. I hope they get out of it soon, please.
All right, let's end with something fun. Don't have to give scores, but predictions for this weekend. Who's making it to the Super Bowl?
Oh shit! I didn't even thought about that yet. I will go with the 80s throwback. I'll go with the Bengals and the 49ers.
Ooh, a little rematch, huh?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I am worried. Niners have shown to struggle covering mobile quarterbacks the last few years. I think that's their Achilles heel, but yeah, I do like Cincy in the other game, especially if Mahomes is 100%.
Yeah.
And they're just playing so well right now. Joe Burrow, arguably best quarterback in the game right now. He's just so good with his weapons. And then that defense is underrated.
Absolutely.
Coach Lou's got that D playing really well right now.
Yeah, and then they got a little swagger to them too.
Oh, they do. Well, they lost in the Super Bowl last year. They know what they're doing. They're on a mission. Yep. And then Niners and Eagles. I think it's gonna be a really good game. Both offenses good, both defenses good. I'm just taking Kyle Shanahan over Nick Sirianni. That's the kicker I'm going with. So give me my Niners playing the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so.
I think at the end of the day, defense, defense wins championships, and I like the Niners defense. Just a little bit better than Philadelphia's. It was just a little bit better than Dallas last week. It'll be just a little bit better than Philadelphia this week.
All right, man. Well, hey, we'll start getting these back out. On a normal basis over the next few weeks. We're approaching episode 100, my friend. We're on 94 tonight, so getting there. We're doing a lot of these. It's crazy. So, but we're excited. Baseball is just around the corner. Like I said, believe.com. If you want to rate, give us a nice review. Go on Apple Podcasts, where you can get your podcasts, YouTube, wherever. So appreciate your support and all that good stuff. And so until next time, say hey, Doug. Say hey, Rob. Go Giants.
Go Giants.
Say hey. Say who. Say Willie. Say hey. Say who. Swinging at the plate. Say